So thank you so much, DJ Ilset. That was wonderful. And thanks for all the dance moves, everybody. Those were great. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to TAG's 4th Annual State of TXDOT. We are honored to have Commissioner Laura Ryan and Houston District Engineer Eliza Paul with us today to provide us with an in-depth look at how TXDOT continues to keep us moving. Just a reminder, for the best viewing experience, please switch to speaker view and ensure that your mute button is on during the main part of the program. We would like to thank all of you for your continued work and commitment to the transportation industry and community. Together, we have faced unprecedented challenges, and our mission in partnership with you remains critical as we look towards solutions for ensuring our economic recovery. Your support for TAG's role in bringing our local agencies together and advocating for additional transportation funding at the local, state, and federal levels is the best path forward to building back our economy. We have to lead this effort not just in our region, but also in our state by galvanizing other key transportation advocates and speaking with one voice in next year's legislature while pushing both federal and local jurisdictions to invest in all modes of transportation. Your support of TAG and participation is critical during this time of shrinking funds and growing demands on public sector budgets. TAG's mission is to increase funding for all modes of transportation so our communities are more connected and vibrant. Transportation projects build a better quality of life for our region's inhabitants by better connecting us to where we work, live, and play. During the pandemic, with your support, TAG was able to pivot quickly, leading an effort to bring our transportation community together online to stay connected to our leaders to highlight the critical role transportation continues to play during the COVID-19 outbreak. With over 20 homeside chats, dozens of live events, and our recent Legend Learn series aimed at bringing the transportation policy and funding agenda to the front lines of the Texas legislative conversations, we know we could not have done it without you. And so at this time, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for today. And we had lots of shout outs for them during the music. I'm gonna go through them again. Our virtual underwriters for today are H&TB and S&B Infrastructure. And they were also sponsors for the Desk DJ Hour and then each of the breakout rooms that you guys got to go in, their networking nooks. Our mobility movers, HVJ Associates, KCI, and AECOM. Our innovators, Costello Engineering, Turner & Townsend, Versa Infrastructure, Your Houston, Pape Dawson, Parsons, and Civil Tech Engineering. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank those that purchased the bundles of 8. That's Greater Northside Management District, EHRA Engineering, and Uptown Houston. And then our mobility partners for 2020, these are our members that have chosen to invest with us at the highest level. They were the ones that were carrying us through with our homeside chats and continue to be our strongest advocates. And so we thank you. They are Dannenbaum Engineering, Encompass Services, Geotest Engineering, H&TB, Infratech, LAN, LJA Engineering, Othon, Outreach Strategists, Rabba Kistner, Raytech Construction Resources, S&B Infrastructure, Texas Central, Union Pacific, Uptown Houston, and WSP. So if you want to cheer with your coffee mug or give a round of applause for all of our sponsors for today and for the year, thank you so much. And with that, for our virtual underwriters, they did provide a quick little video. So Jordan, if you can cue that up for us.
Right now, as cities prepare for the future of mobility, we are here. We're reimagining everything from the ground up and harnessing the power of collaboration, working with you to create the infrastructure solutions that turn your challenges into successful community icons. By rethinking the future of transportation, we are here to create the community that's important to you, to all of us.
S&B Infrastructure is a multidiscipline engineering firm that provides a multitude of services.
We do the bridge design, we do the wastewater, water plants, and also buildings like a school, hospital, or factories.
Our construction group is primarily focused on construction projects that are publicly funded projects for city, state, county, and federal projects.
We focus on helping communities with water, wastewater, local streets, planning.
Everything from roads to bridges to buildings, everything that needs to be done for the economy and the people of this country.
S&B shifted from its immediate COVID-19 response and has begun to define its new reality by establishing safety and operational protocols that keep S&B moving forward amid the ongoing pandemic. While the past few months proved incredibly challenging, S&B continues to take the appropriate steps to support your projects while working to keep our people safe and healthy. As circumstances change, we will adapt. With our Managing with Certainty philosophy front and center, S&B will emerge as a stronger and more agile industry leader in our new reality. S&B's top priority remains the well-being of our employees and communities. In June, S&B's COVID-19 response team implemented a plan for a safe return to the office. S&B continues to execute projects with our Managing with Certainty philosophy. In the field, S&B's essential employees, critical to maintaining and expanding America's energy infrastructure, continue to follow strict procedures across all our construction sites. To keep S&B's employees informed, the COVID-19 response team issues a weekly email listing the positive COVID-19 cases at various company sites. As we move beyond our response of the immediate crisis and toward recovery, we must keep continuous improvement at the forefront. We are learning how to strengthen our capabilities, processes, and people even further. We will continue to rely on true blue S&B team members to deliver reliable, efficient, and cost-effective EPC solutions.
Thank you again to our virtual underwriters for today. I would like to take this moment to thank our elected officials that have joined us today. I'm not even going to try to do it as well as Mr. Jack Drake does it, but I'm going to try. So if I forget you, please unmute yourself and yell at me, but I think I've got everybody. So we're going to start with City. I know we have Carol Haddock with Department of Public Works. I think we have Margaret Wallace-Brown with the Department of Planning. We have Council Member Letitia Plummer from District At-Large 4. I did see Council Member David Robinson with some dance moves earlier for At-Large District 2. And we have Metro Chief Tom Lambert, as well as Metro Chair Karin Patman. And we have Representative Ed Thompson, who recently did a Legend Learn with us and did fantastic. So we appreciate your involvement. I did see Mayor of Sugar Land, Joe Zimmerman on, and representatives from the following offices. So Representative Jim Murphy, Senator Carol Alvarado, and Senator Larry Taylor. If I forgot you, please put your shout out in the chat box, or you can yell at me later. But we thank you all for being here today. And with that, I would like to tip it over to our chairman, TAG Chairman Mustafa Tamiz, to talk a little bit about TAG's legislative priorities and looking forward towards the session.
Well, thank you, Andrea. What a fun time. TAG is a community. We've always enjoyed our events. We've tried to bring this virtually now to you. So there's a lot of events that we do under Andrea's leadership. The Legend Learn series is an important one. We're starting to talk to our legislators early, talking about the priorities that of the transportation industry, and also coordinating, trying to across the state to see that if we can get everybody speaking from one voice. And our message is very simple. Our message is for every $1 that you invest in transportation, you create anywhere from $3 to $6 in economic activity. So if we're going to bring our state back, that we need to invest in transportation dollars. Our message is also that if you spend $1 billion in transportation, you almost create 13,000 jobs. So if our state's going to come back, it's going to come back by investment in transportation. And we need all of your help in not just supporting TAG, but being advocates and champions for transportation projects, regardless of what mode we're talking about. All of us are in this community. All of us have to work together. All of us not just have to work within our region, but across the state on this message. Dollars are going to get smaller. I think budgets are going to shrink. But if we come together, we can help our state come back sooner and faster and better by investing in transportation. So with that, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of our sponsors, as well as all the agency partners that come together under TAG and with TAG to come up with solutions that solve the big problems for our region. Andrew's going to play a short video that underscores what TAG is about. I know that sometimes when you watch these videos, you want to turn off your own cameras, but I challenge you to keep your cameras on today because we want to see you. I check everybody's homes. I look at like the kitchens that you sit in. It's fun for us to see each other even in this difficult time. And so with that, Andrea, turn on a great video.
Thank you, Mustafa, and thank you, Jordan, for running our video behind the scenes. To Mustafa's point, we are working really hard to make sure that this message is very clearly resonating with our elected officials as they march into the 2021 session. We know that transportation is certainly not the only issue that they're looking at. We recognize that in many cases it's a tier 3 issue for the pandemic that we're facing and all of the budget cuts and issues that they're going to have to deal with. However, our main point is that if we're investing in transportation, we're growing the pot of money. It is a return on the dollar. It is a job creator. And TAG's legislative agenda really focuses on that, as well as 3 priorities to help find additional funding and new funding streams. They are to index the gas tax. And looking at that, that also elevates education funding. For those that did not know, a quarter of the gas tax does go to education funding. The other is to look at and start a conversation about relaxing the cap at the state level, the state sales tax cap, to allow local governments to have a choice as to whether or not they would want to use sales tax to fund infrastructure or other local needs. And then the third is to look at alternatively fueled vehicles and how they are or are not contributing to our infrastructure needs. And so those are our 3 priorities. While we will focus on those, I encourage you to visit our website, and we will be sharing our legislative agenda shortly with everybody. I encourage you to look at everything on our agenda and join us in this conversation with our elected officials. The Legend Learns have been wildly successful. Everyone has really been engaged. Our leaders have really appreciated the conversations. And next week, we do have 2 more Legend Learns. We have the Vice Chair of the Senate Transportation Committee, Kelly Hancock, and we have the Vice Chair of the House Transportation Committee, Brooks Landgraf, on Thursday. So I strongly encourage you to join those conversations. If they're not hearing from us, then we're silent. And so we appreciate everyone's participation. And with that, we're going to get started with our program. We have a surprise guest that's going to introduce Commissioner Ryan and Eliza Paul. You might remember him before he left us high and dry and went to Austin. Mr. Quincy Allen, can you take it away for us?
You mean that guy?
That guy.
Wow. It's good to be back with all of y'all. Wow. I could not resist the invitation to be part of this event today. And I could not be more pleased to have the responsibility of introducing two of my favorite people working for the citizens of the state of Texas. Public service is a high calling. Both women I have the pleasure of bringing to you today serve as admirable and esteemed examples of leadership and uncompromising service to the public. As you all know, Houston has a special place in my heart. As a multi-generational native Houstonian and having served as Houston District Engineer, I can assure you that I'm as invested in the deeds of our local leaders as anyone. Commissioner Laura Ryan, while committed to her role as a state commissioner representing all citizens of Texas, is a champion and an ambassador for Houston. She has proven time after time to be a fair, judicious, innovative, and influential policy driver committed to exploring opportunities and strategies for TXDOT to be our best in every way possible. For that, I'm thankful. We are absolutely privileged to have her standing in the gap for our region, and I'm honored to introduce her to bring you remarks on the state of TXDOT from a statewide and policymaker's vantage point. Likewise, Liza Paul, my successor as Houston's district engineer, is one of TXDOT's finest. I've had the pleasure of working side by side with Liza for many years, and I've been able to watch her quickly become an awesome district engineer. Leaving Houston was hard for me, but when I learned Eliza would succeed me as DE, I knew Houston was in good hands. Eliza represents so much of what is great about TXDOT, and she is leading the district in the right direction, making amazing things happen. Please welcome them both, as together they will talk to you today about the state of TXDOT as we swiftly and seamlessly move into FY 2021. Without further delay, Commissioner Ryan, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Quincy. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with thanking you all for the opportunity to be here. I'll definitely thank you to TAG for keeping us connected, continuing to keep us connected even in these unprecedented times, and keeping us updated. I've been a part of several of the events that they've hosted and watched, and they're more than enjoyable. Also, last but not least, thank you, Quincy, for the introduction. And I will say it's nice to have you back in Houston, at least virtually. We will kind of get you here more often this way, right? As we've all talked about and we've seen and we know, we're living in interesting times. However, despite the challenges we face this year, TXDOT has more than $24 billion in highway contracts underway, and all those contracts continue uninterrupted because people are depending on us. Making sure our infrastructure keeps pace with the state's growth and the region's growth requires proactive transportation planning. In August, the Commission approved the 2021 UTP, which included $74.7 billion in funding over the next 10 years. And $26 billion of that was set aside to address congestion in the state's 5 major metropolitan areas, including Houston. As you can imagine, COVID has had an impact and an effect on the state's resources, and that includes transportation funding. According to the comptroller, state gas tax revenues are down for this fiscal year, and that includes funding from Prop 1. The largest portion of Prop 7 funding is expected to remain intact at $2.5 billion a year. However, because motor sales and rental tax revenues are below the $5 billion threshold, the smaller portion of our Prop 7 funds will not be available during the 2021 biennium. Texas will continue to be resilient in the face of these challenges and will continue to adapt. Of course, TXDOT's future funding depends on future revenues and what happens in our next legislative session. Right now, TXDOT is planning to request the authorization for a little more than $30 billion over the 22-23 biennium. Roughly $26 billion of this will be used for project development, project delivery, and highway maintenance. In the meantime, projects that are under construction will remain under construction. Roads that need to be maintained will continue to be maintained, and we will continue to work with local, state, and federal leaders to keep Texas moving forward. Whether it's innovation in freight, unmanned aerial vehicles, or electric vehicles, We're committed to positioning Texas as a leader in economic activity and technology. TXDOT currently is developing plans with research centers across the state to test connected vehicle technology along I-35, I-10, I-30, and I-45. We also have a few connected vehicle projects right here in Houston related to emergency vehicle preemption. This technology will allow emergency vehicles to disrupt the normal traffic signal cycle so that the emergency vehicles can pass through intersections quickly and safely. While future technology holds great promise for making our roads safer, we must not wait. We need to act now to stop the endless death on Texas roads and keep our roads safe. For nearly 2 decades, we've averaged 10 deaths a day on our roads, and many of you have heard me say that. Just last year, we lost 3,622 people. And to date this year, we've lost 2,600. As of this morning at 6 a.m., that's what the report showed. 2,600 people have died in traffic crashes. And again, the truly tragic part of this is that roughly 90% of serious crashes and fatalities are due to human error. That's why TXDOT began and initiated the Road to Zero when the Texas Transportation Commission showed our commitment to end the traffic deaths by 2050. When the commission declared that goal of 0 deaths, many people claimed it was impossible. But I refuse to believe that. Here's why. Folks around the state have been stepping up to take on this challenge and working hard to change behaviors. Last year on November 7th, we challenged everyone to post a picture or a video with an End the Street Texas sign and post it on their personal commitment to drive responsibly on social media. And then at that time, we asked them to challenge their loved ones to do the same. That hashtag was the highest trending hashtag on Twitter in Texas on November 7th last year. We achieved more than 5 million impressions on Twitter during the month of November 2019. 1,000 Texans shared their personal stories on social media, and those stories were reshared an additional 300 times. On Facebook, we reached nearly 21 million people last November. Texans sent a powerful message, one that we were serious about ending this terrible streak of needless deaths. But we actually need more folks to take on this challenge and more Texans to take this message seriously. And the message has a great sense of urgency about it, and it has to be now. The last time Texas didn't have a single fatality on roadways was November 7th, 2000. In less than 30 days, we'll be reaching a painful anniversary. We'll hit the 20-year mark and streak of needless preventable deaths on our state's roads. 20 years of heartache for so many families. How can we avoid that? Because it's an anniversary I hope we don't see. Well, we need to take personal responsibility, wear our seatbelts, maintain an appropriate speed, avoid the urge to answer that text or take that call when you're behind the wheel. And if you choose to drink, don't combine it with driving. Also, take this opportunity and over the next 30 days, post your commitment to drive responsibly using the End the Streak hashtag and encourage others to do the same. If we do these things and we get others to join us, we'll not be talking about traffic fatalities anymore. And not another family member will suffer a loss. With the collective commitment of everyone listening today, I believe we can make 2020 the year we finally end the streak and bring everyone home safe. So thanks again for allowing me to join you today. I hope you'll accept my challenge. And with that, I know you're going to enjoy the remarks and the information that Eliza Paul will provide next. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you. Eliza, I'll turn it over to you, I believe.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Eliza?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Andrea. And thanks everybody for attending this afternoon's State of TXDOT to everybody. Can we see some of the slides, please? Okay. I wanted to start out, next slide, please, with the mission of TXDOT. You see, the mission of TXDOT is connecting you with Texas. And what we're trying to do is connecting all the vehicles, all the cars that you see in these pictures, and all the trucks that is in there with the freight traffic. But we're also connecting, transit vehicles, buses and vans. And we're also connecting the pedestrians and the bicyclists that uses our facilities throughout our region. So we're connecting you with Texas all over the world, and we're also connecting you within Texas from one state to the next state also. And currently, TXDOT is working on one of our largest project plan in history. I've been here for over 30 years, and this is the largest program that we ever has in the history of TXDOT. Next slide, please. And I forgot to mention, there's also safety is of course one of our highest priority for TXDOT. And as Commissioner Ryan has already mentioned earlier, that TXDOT has, and Commissioner Ryan is the champion of this End the Street campaign and our Road to Zero campaign. And what this is telling us what people can do, what normal people can do. They can wear the seatbelt, they can don't drink and drive, they can drive within the speed limit, and they can also put the phone away, or don't eat while they're driving, don't drive distracted, basically. We also kicked off a campaign for distraction. It's called Heads Up campaign. Basically, it's want everybody to put their heads up while they're driving and not look down, staring at their phone or doing some other thing, trying to change the channel of your radio station or something like that. So that's very simple things that anybody can do to try and help with preventing death on our freeway. And what does the TXDOT engineers do? What we do is we try and design every road to be more forgiving, more user-friendly. We're trying to look at the degree of curvature to make sure that they are as gradual as they can, we can fit them. And we're also trying to make sure we have wider shoulders out there so that we can allow, if your car stall on the freeway, you have a safe place to pull over, and then you can call the record driver, or you can call your friends or family to come and help you out. So instead of having your vehicle in the traffic or in danger of being rear-ended, so you'll have a place for you to sit so you can be safely off the roadway. Some of the other things that we do, for example, is putting rumble stripes on the edge of the freeway. And we want to make sure that if you are not paying attention, and if you're wearing off the roadway, or if you are falling asleep a little bit, this kind of jocks you and wake you up and pull you back into the right lane. And in fact, unfortunately, TXDOT actually lost a summer help on an incident like that when a phone fell off from the person's hand, he reached over and trying to retrieve the phone. And in that instant, the car veered over the center, yellow striped, and then there was an oncoming 18-wheeler coming on the other side. So it's a very unfortunate incident, and anything that really just take a second of getting your eyes off the road, and very unfortunate disaster will happen. So TXDOT is doing everything we can, put out electronic sign, put out wrong way sign, putting all these rumble stripes. And Commissioner has mentioned that the Commission had actually put dollars in the program. There's dollars specifically for safety enhancement project to try and make sure we work on ending the street. And the most important thing, just as Commissioner Ryan said, is by word of mouth, by doing your hashtag, by telling your kids, by telling your friends, telling your neighbors. Each person tell 10 other people what it is, what they can do to avoid getting into the accident. And those 10 people tell another 10 people, and pretty soon, all the engineers know what that number is going to be after a while, So one person can make a big impact to everybody that is traveling or driving or walking our roadway to try and help us end the street. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Houston district. And what you can see here on this slide is really, I'm not going to go through all these projects, but these are some of the roadways that are everybody's familiar with that we have been working on throughout the Houston region. You know, the US 290 corridor, everybody endured that project, and now we're finally at completion of the project. And it's a really nice freeway. I just drove it the other day, and it's clean. There's traffic are flowing freely, and we're really proud of it. In conjunction with the Hampshire Highway, it's also a roadway that was done at the same environmental report at the same time. The US 290 and the Hampshire Highway were done together as a conjunction project. The two projects has to go hand in hand in order to be able to handle the traffic that is coming from the Northwest region, which is growing tremendously right now. So that's another corridor we are looking to try and progress to make sure we can handle the traffic in that 290 corridor. Grand Parkway, State Highway 99, we have completed probably 3/4 of the Grand Parkway, and we're currently working on the northeast side and the east side segment, H&I, we call it, and we're making good progress. All the other segments are open, and we're also talking to Brazoria County, Galveston County, and also Fort Bend County to talk about the remaining 2 segments, segment B and also segment C, to try and see how we can progress on those 2 segments of the project also. The 45 North Freeway Corridor, that is the I-45 North Houston Highway Improvement Project that we're working downtown. I have a couple more slides later on, and I'll go through that in great detail on that. 288 Corridor, we are working as a concession project, and we are getting very close to try and open up the tolling in that corridor. Both Brazoria County and our project, we're doing the project inside Harris County, and Brazoria County work on the portion that is outside Harris County. So the 2 projects go hand in hand, and we plan on opening them both towards the end of the year or very early part of next year, the end of the year. And 59, 69, we have a lot of work ongoing on 59 South in that corridor. And we are also looking with Metro on the HOV lane conversion in the area between 610 and the Spur. 610, everybody in Houston know about the 610 job in the Galleria. You know, we have been, there are 2 jobs that we were working on in that corridor, basically the Uptown Bustling Project and also the Galleria Interchange Project. So those projects are, the Uptown Bustling Project is already done, is open. You know, Tom Lambert can tell you that their bus running, BRT running over there, and it's really beautiful and pretty and running really good. And we're progressing on 610 West Loop project. We were able to make use of some of the COVID lighter traffic to be able to do a lot of traffic control on that corridor. So that's something that we are very excited about and we're proud of. On I-10 West, you know, there's a lot of work going towards Austin, and the Yoakum District also have another project that takes it further west over there. Eventually, it will go all the way to Columbus. The 35 corridor, this is a project that we're trying to look at from Spur 5, which is at U of H main campus, and it takes it over to the 610 area. We're working with City of Houston, you know, and Metro also very closely at the Long Drive, Greg's intersection over there, because it's kind of like a spaghetti bowl over there. The 2 railroad, UP and BNSF, and also Greg's and Long and Metro also have a light rail that is going through that region. So we're working, trying to work all that out in order to try and progress that corridor. 45 South, we have lots of projects that continue construction on 45 South all the way to Galveston. And we have some work over there on the I-10 East corridor, which we have a PAL that we're trying to look at. Next slide, please. Okay, this, we just wanted to show that how important is freight traffic in the Houston region. And you can see from the drawing of the map that the darker color is where you have a lot more freight traffic, and also the freight trucking accidents involving commercial vehicle crashes. You know, Harris County is, we're not proud of that, but Harris County is one of the areas that has the highest commercial vehicle crashes in our region. So there's a lot of needs over there. What that's telling us that there's a lot of needs that we need to make sure this traffic have good freeway to drive on and to traverse from one place to the next. Next slide, please. Okay, Commissioner Ryan talks a little bit also about the UTP that they just passed in an August commission meeting. And we are trying to just show the Houston is one of the areas that have the biggest allotment of the 10-year UTP. We have 10, right now, the number we have is 10.8 billion. Granted, that number can change based on how many projects it's available and when those projects are going to be ready and all that. And the metropolitan region is taking up about 48.2% of the entire UTP budget. And when we call metro district, that means Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and San Antonio. Next slide, please. Okay, this slides really just further give you a better breakdown on all the funding distribution of all the metropolitan district. And you can see from there that Houston's portion of it is 17% of the total district budget there. Next slide, please. Okay, what we want to just give everybody a little bit of an idea of what is our current project letting level. These are construction letting. These are actual project that is going to go, that we plan on letting in the next 4 years, fiscal year 21 to 24. And you can see that we started out a little bit slow this year. You know, currently we are at $774 million, but we're hoping some of the projects that's in fiscal year 22 can move up to 21 and kind of build up that. And then the 23 project will move into 22 and so on and so forth, so that we don't kind of jam up the fiscal year 24. We have a huge letting. So we also are trying to spread out some of these letting volumes so that we won't be really jammed up in some of the years and not as much in other years. Next slide, please. So going into a little bit, we want to let everybody know a little bit about our Clearlink project. The Clearlink incentive is what the governor said is we want to, during the campaign, he was one of his campaign promises, he wanted to try and solve the congestion problem in Texas. So some of the Clearlink project is initiative that we use to try and take care of the top 100 most congested roadways in the Houston region and also Dallas and all the metropolitan district. And the Brown project, you are all very familiar with. Those are all the projects that's currently in construction. And we talk about it a little bit, like the Galleria project on 610, like the 45 South project that's ongoing, and also the I-10 West project on the west side. The Blue project is the project, other projects that are currently funded. So that includes the 35 corridor that I talked about just now that goes from the Spur to 610 and also to Belfort. And then there's also a second job that takes that corridor all the way to Pearland. And we are working on the environmental and the scheme to fine tune the schematic on that portion of the project. The other segment of the project that you see all in blue over there is the 45 and HHIP downtown project. You know, the blue piece include both segment 3 and segment 2 on the list. Next slide, please. Okay, we also come up with a list of future projects, what we call the purple list of projects. These are the projects that are currently not funded, but they are badly in need of being worked on. And these are the one, and we've been working with some of our stakeholders to try and progress some of the project. For example, number 5 on the list there, that is the I-10 Inner Katy Connector Corridor project that we've been working very closely with our metro counterparts to look at that corridor to see how we can fit everybody in that tight corridor. Metro has gathered some funding from MPO and also from the Metro Next program to put a transit lane in that corridor over there. So we've been working very closely with them to try and progress that. The first project is over there on I-10 at Wyoke Bayou, which can tie to the end of the 45 and HHIP I-10 portion of the project. This is the area that kind of floods in Houston during Harvey and when we have a major flood, because the roadway was originally built, part of the roadway was actually in the floodplain. So we're trying to raise this area of the corridor so that it won't be underwater whenever we have a big rain. And number 2 and number 4 is part of segment 1 of the I-45 and HHIP that we still need to get funded on that project. Number 8 is number 8 and number 6 are Hempstead Highway. I just talked about that earlier. Number 3 is a very important job for us. It's on I-10 at San Jacinto River. And that currently, that bridge has been hit by barges about more than twice. We have done extensive repair work to the columns and cab, and a portion of I-10 has to be completely closed while we were doing some of those repair work when it was hit. So this new project, what we're trying to do is build a new bridge that either span the channel or build it with columns that is sturdy enough that it will withstand barge hits in the channel. So we're looking at both possibility, whether a longer bridge will work better or a shorter bridge. It will definitely be cheaper and be able to still serve the purpose for us. Next slide, please. Okay, what do we have on the planning horizon? And we are currently doing some PEL projects, what we call, next slide please, preliminary engineering study, linkage studies. And what this is we gather the information from the public, we look at each of the future corridor, and then we determine what we need to do to try and improve these corridors, whether it's for safety, to bring everything up to current standards, or to incorporate new innovative idea in there so that we can meet the needs of the future. Whether we have a Google car driving through a corridor or maybe truck platooning through the corridor. So we're looking at some of that in these PL studies. So the corridors we are looking at is I-10 on the east side, 45 on the north side, which kind of just tack on to the end of the NHHIP project from Bellway to Conroe from Loop 336. We have also a project on 225 from 610 to 146 we're looking at. And the other 2 projects on 69 and 45 from Bellway 8 to downtown, these 2 corridors are the older part of the freeway system that we haven't done a lot of work on. And they are going to be very difficult corridor to build. In fact, a lot of these corridors are going to be very difficult corridors to build because everything surrounding the freeway has already been built up and everything. So the PL is what will enable us to look at this corridor and then think about the growth in the region and the changes that is occurring in the region and look at all the other elements, intermodal, transit, bike, pedestrian and all that, and try and see what will best fit within these corridors. Next slide, please. So as part of this work, our planning department is also coming out with some new tools that they are trying to investigate all these freeway corridor. So what this real plan is, what we call is Regional Express Access Link. And what this tool does for us is we are trying to look at either you can call it managed lanes, or you can call it transit lane or express lane or HOV lanes, what we're doing is look at the use of these lanes in the corridor and to see how we can connect the dots around the region. You know, one very good example is the indicated corridor that we're looking at in conjunction with the 610 express lane that we're looking at, and also on 59, we're looking at doing a bi-directional HOV to go into downtown. That will essentially give everybody a loop to circle around that area from downtown out west to I-10 to 610 south to 59 and back to downtown. And if somebody that just want to go from one place to another and doesn't want to go around and make stops in between, what they can do is go around these managed lane or express lane, and then they can go through the corridor very efficiently. And this can be something that we use for freight traffic to try and get the freight traffic away from the general traffic that is trying to ingress and egress the freeway and trying to improve the safety of the corridor also. Next slide, please. So I want to go into a little bit. I know everybody wanted to know a little bit about 45. So this is a quick update on 45. And we've shown this slide before, and this kind of show where we are currently at the record of decision stage. We are at the FEIS stage. We just posted the FEIS stage. I think the next slide will actually kind of show that a little bit better. Okay, we actually have posted the FEIS on September 25th, which was 2 Fridays, almost 2 Fridays ago. And we've put that on our website. And on October 9, this Friday, we're going to officially post it in the Federal Register, which will be when the official clock starts for the 30-day period that typically what the FEIS will take before it goes to the ROT stage. So that's where we are kind of in the environmental stage of this project. And as far as the procurement stage is, we're currently doing the RFQ. We're requesting for qualification. We're looking for a company that will help us work on this project. And that's the different split on the percentage, how we're going to look at them in the experience, technical approach, and safety qualifications. Next slide, please. And I think as most of you already know that we are splitting up the segment 3 project into 3 separate pieces. You know, the first piece in the red over there, that is the design bid build project that is between the spur and 288. That project is about 260 million, and we're working on the detailed design of that project. And the first one that we are procuring right now is the green piece, which is the piece that redo the 288-59 interchange, and also the 3 arch bridges over there at 2M, McGowan, and Elgin. You know, so that's the first piece of the design build project. It's about $450 million. The second piece of the design build project that we're going to work on is the blue piece, the I-10 portion of it. And that's a big project which involves reconstructing I-10 and also the 2 interchanges, one at 45 and one at 59 at the 2 locations. The third project is the last piece over there that was in front of the George R. Brown Convention Center. It's about $1.25 billion right now, and it involved the depressed area over there in front of George R. Brown, and it also include the connectors on the side where Memorial and Allen Parkway dips into downtown, and it also involved the recommissioning of the original PS elevator. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit more on the FEIS, just very quickly. I already talked about it earlier. We posted it on our website, on the I-45 North and More website on September 25th. And October 9, we will post it officially in the Federal Register. That will be when the actual clock starts. And everybody can get a look at this FEIS online in the website as shown on there. There is executive summary report, there's technical report, there's also the responses to the draft EIS. And we are also making it available for anybody who wants to come into our office to look at a physical copy of the FEIS. they can call the number and we will set up an appointment with them. And they can come in. Of course, they have to follow the safety protocol, wear the mask and have the temperature check and all that. But we will have a hard copy of the FEIS available as well as online, and also a copy of the schematic available for anybody that wants to look at. And if they have questions, we'll get somebody to answer the questions for them also. So that's available to the public. Next slide, please. Okay, in conjunction with the FEIS, we have also worked out a lot of what we call white papers or position papers on several different topics that we think are important to the public, important to everybody. And they can look at these white papers, and in a shorter duration of time, they can see what the issue is, how we address it, and how we plan on mitigating some of these issues. So there are 12 white papers altogether that we have put out. And we've also have put out a video, which I think we're going to see at the end, here, and that shows a little bit of some of the issues on the project and how we plan on mitigating it. Next slide, please. Okay, we've also done a little bit of public involvement out there. We have met with the mayors, look at the mayor's ask, the evaluation, the letter, and we also have some housing and community focus group meeting. And then we're also planning on having some traffic management steering committee meeting to try and reach out to the public and further dive into the details of the project. Next slide, please. And I think there was a video that we were planning on showing, but I'm not sure if we're going to show it. But what it addresses some of the safety, congestion, and accommodation, the housing issue. And it talks about some of the pros and cons of the project. And also it talks about some of the benefits and how we plan on mitigating some of these issues. And Andrea, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Eliza, so much. I was impressed that you didn't drink water until the very end. You have to know a lot of information and a lot of projects all at once. I know when we did our Homeside chat, we talked about that. So at any given time, you have to simultaneously know what's going on in multiple places. So we appreciate your expertise. And thank you to Commissioner Ryan as well, really driving home the safety conversation and reminding us that we need reminders, constant reminders. And so to both of you, thank you for making that a priority. So I know that there were several questions that were submitted in advance that I think have been answered throughout both of the presentations. If you have a question that was not answered during the presentation and you want to ask it, you may message me directly with your name, affiliation, and the question that you want to ask. We are going to go ahead and link to the video in the chat. And we can send it out with the slides so that everyone has an opportunity to go and watch the video. It's a very thorough video and it's really great on I-45, but we do want to allow some time for questions right now. So with that, I know that Representative Ed Thompson had a question for either you or Commissioner Ryan, asking, we know that in cities and kind of residential areas, they'll often put up where you can see your speed limit, you can see how fast you're going. We know that speed was a huge indicator for deaths with the onset of COVID, right? The death count really didn't drop as much as we thought because we learned that it was speed. So is that something that TXDOT has considered or would consider, or is it even plausible to put something like that where people can actually see how fast they're going?
Well, I get. Go ahead, Commissioner Ryan.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, in fact, I was going to mention that is actually something that our ITS CTMS group has been doing on some of our freeways. On some of our DMSI, a lot of the time they will post a silver alert, or they will post whenever there's an emergency, hurricane coming and all that. But if there's not any specific message that was out there, what they have been trying to put out there is the speed limit of that particular segment of the roadway. As you all know, the speed limit typically inside Beltway and outside Beltway is a little bit different. You know, outside Beltway, we were able to go a little bit faster, typically 65. And in most areas, inside Beltway is a little bit less than that, 55 or miles per hour, or 60 at the most. So we have been doing some of that, posting the speed limit on our DMS sign that we are trying to do. And plus the speed limit sign that, you know, I can see that sometimes they were few and far between the regular speed limit sign that was posted on some of the roadway. You sometimes will drive for a long distance and you still don't see those speed limit signs. Commissioner Ryan, you were going to say something too?
Oh, I'll just add that some of we put the $600 million out. That money went out to the districts to request projects, and those projects came in, and that money was used for highest and best use. And the rumble strips and median cables were very high. There is some definite projects that are technology driven, and those signs are going in. So what I would say is if there's a specific area that we feel, or somebody feels that that would be a beneficial safety piece, then I'd say send that request in to Eliza or your area engineer, and we'll have the task force look at it. Because right now those projects don't go through the commission, they go through a safety task force so that they can evaluate highest and best use and try to put the money and get the projects moving very, very quickly.
Thank you. Following up and kind of in the same conversation, the safety theme, we know that Harris County has adopted Vision Zero program and is really aggressively pursuing that. There's a lot of also a lot of movement at the state level. Harris County has done a Vision Zero pledge that they're encouraging people to kind of jump on and sign. Just kind of wondering if that's something that TXDOT has considered doing similarly to what kind of the localities are looking at with Vision Zero.
So I would say we're encouraging any city and county to join us and make the same commitment, and then finding ways to communicate that and make it happen. I can tell you that I have personally sent letters, 200 letters to individual ISDs, spoken at many cities, colleges, and then just recently sent every district attorney for every county a personal letter asking what they're doing from their side. We have the supported DPS and you know, what can they do? And we've gotten many responses that there are things that they're doing from that area too. So we are taking a 360 approach to trying to find ways to get this message to where it needs to be. So again, if anybody has suggestions or would like us to reach out to any particular county or city, we'd be happy. We're more than willing to accept the help and support. This is not going to be a one-man show task.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to ask also that me and Uganda, you know, and maybe Mark from our office too, we have been also working with the City of Houston's Vision Zero group to try and look at what they are working on and try and work together in conjunction, you know, with a lot of other entities too. Metro is on it, Harris County is also on it. We are all trying to work together to see if there's anything we can use or do or share informations that we have, that what each entity is doing together or separately to try and enhance safety. So we are working together on that also.
Okay, thank you. And for this is probably initially with Commissioner Ryan. It's a two-pronged question because we've had a couple of different ones. So I'm going to try to combine them. But Mayor Joe Zimmerman from Sugar Land is asking again to kind of review the shortfall numbers for the TXDOT budget going in, and how are we kind of planning to help mitigate some of that shortfall. And then by the same token, you know, some of the project consultants are getting notice to kind of cease work, and they're asking how they can better prepare and know perhaps when this is coming in the future. So two parts.
So right now, with regard to, I'll just quickly from our end, right now, TXDOT is, we're doing everything we can operationally internally to be efficient and use the funds that are available to us to make sure that they go to infrastructure. We at the same time are balancing those funds to make sure that we don't let the pipe, the funnel, so to speak, dry up, because there's a lot of planning that needs to be there. However, not knowing what's going to come out of this session, but knowing there are major challenges that the legislators are going to have to address, we are certainly doing everything we can to try to be proactive. So Eliza can certainly speak to the district information, but with regard to the state, we haven't cut anything specifically, but we are fully expecting that we're going to have to, when we get given some shortfalls, we'll have to look at that. But we are not anticipating any current project that is currently underway. We've got about $24 billion in contracts that are actually active, and those will continue, and we anticipate those being completed. We also don't anticipate that major projects will be cut, but they could be slowed down as we start to evaluate timing. I'll let Eliza speak to the specific consultant, because I'm assuming it's coming out of this area with this group.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that typically our consultant budget, our biggest budget is really our PS&E budget, our design budgets, and also our CEI, which is the construction inspection budget. Those are the two biggest budget we have in our consultant world over there. So Commissioner Ryan said is correct. We're not stopping anything that we are doing. We basically just need to be strategic. We need to plan better. I think we're still going to do all the projects that we plan on doing, but maybe slowing some of them down, which is not as critical, and work on the critical one first, kind of prioritize them to make sure we hit all of them, but then we put a priority on the one that we think are most important to us, kind of like the I-10 at San Jacinto. Some of those projects, you know, as you can see, we have a lot of future projects that are in the planning stage in the book. So we just have to prioritize them and make sure we do the ones that we can quickly push it through to letting, you know, so that we can utilize the fund to be able to get the biggest bang for our buck, and then still continue to work on the other ones that we know we need in the future, but, you know, maybe not spend as much resources on them right now. So we just need to plan better. I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you both. So that concludes our program for today. Thank you so much to everyone that joined us. Just a wealth of information. We will send out the slides as well as a link to the video for everyone to view. And we want to remind everybody that next week we have two Legend Learns. Again, Texas Senator and Vice Chair for the Senate Transportation Committee, Kelly Hancock, and then also for the House Transportation Committee, Vice Chair Brooks Landgraf. These are very critical conversations, and both gentlemen are really poised to have really great conversations about transportation policy and funding going into session. So I hope that you will join us. Thank you again to Quincy Allen for making a celebrity appearance, and to Commissioner Laura Ryan and Houston District Engineer Eliza Paul. Wonderful, wonderful information. And actually Raquel is asking me if we can play the video as the meeting ends and winds out. And I think that's a great idea.
One more thing, Andrea, I just wanted to, I've had a request from all the sponsors, mobility partners and others, that they would like you to do the DJ thing on sponsorship next time. They want you to basically do.
Oh, am I the DJ?
Yeah, they want you to be the DJ next time. And when you talk about the sponsors, there should be music playing. There should be this upbeat thing from now on. That was a poll I just conducted.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm virtual. It's virtual schooling children. So teacher, I'll just add DJ to my list.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Fine. It's totally fine. Thank you. So thank you again. And thank you, yes, to all of our sponsors, to DJ Ilset, to everybody that worked to help put this program on, and to all of the hardworking TXDOT employees that really, truly keep us moving every day. So thank you. And with that, we're going to run the video. Jordan, if you can do that.
The sun is shining and it's time to hit the road for another busy workday in Houston. Even if you live in a historic neighborhood like Independence Heights, just 8 miles from downtown Houston, getting to work on time can be tough if you travel on Interstate 45. It's known as one of the nation's worst traffic hotspots, especially the stretch from the southern part of downtown, across the Pierce Elevated, north to Airtex Drive. Bottlenecks along this segment cause miles of stressful delays for drivers. The Texas Department of Transportation, or TXDOT, has developed a plan to reroute I-45. The new route follows I-45 south until I-10 and then follows I-10 eastward to US 59 I-69 southward past the George R. Brown Convention Center. Then it continues westward until it meets the current highway. The new route does not use the Pierce Elevated. Exits will lead to downtown destinations, and express lanes will speed the flow of traffic moving beyond downtown. TXDOT has been planning the North Houston Highway Improvement Project for more than 10 years to fix the problems along this important highway. Through more than 300 public and stakeholder meetings, valuable input has been received from residents, civic groups, the business community, and other interested parties. This outreach effort helped shape this plan to relieve congestion and improve safety, roadway drainage, and air quality along I-45 from downtown Houston to Beltway 8 near Bush Intercontinental Airport. The new route enhances safety by fixing merging lanes, curves that slow traffic, and exit locations. New frontage roads and emergency lanes are also safety features. Although I-45 is a designated evacuation route for the region, its current capacity is severely limited. This project will allow residents to evacuate out of harm's way more efficiently. Two-way managed lanes will be available 24/7 to replace a single lane available only during rush hour. These new lanes will also allow metro buses to transit rapidly from Bush Intercontinental Airport to downtown. More people will be able to move along the I-45 corridor with more ride-sharing and mass transit options, benefiting both travelers and commuters. Bridges at Houston Avenue and at other locations will be raised to meet new federal height requirements. Lanes will be reconfigured and will no longer force drivers to change lanes or merge quickly. Express lanes will allow drivers to move beyond downtown without having to interact with exiting traffic. Instead of widening I-45 to handle more single-occupant vehicles, TXDOT's design will allow the system to handle more transit and high-occupancy trips. The new design of the freeway interchanges will eliminate weaving maneuvers and improve safety. The improvements to I-45, I-10, and I-69 will be designed to improve existing flooding issues and will include pumping systems to drain floodwater to detention ponds that will hold the water until it can be safely released into the bayous. These proposed floodwater detention areas are being evaluated as potential open spaces to enhance the quality of life in neighborhoods. Other features of the project include decks built over the freeway near the George R. Brown Convention Center. These decks can be beautified with landscaping and other enhancements through funding and support by local agencies and groups. Bike lanes with curbs separating them from cars. Sidewalks designated solely for pedestrian safety and separated from bikes and cars. High visibility crosswalks and other pavement markings. Curb changes and sloped curbs at corners designed to slow down motorists turning. These features will be enhanced with separate projects for landscaping and other beautification. To allow for these highway improvements, some residents and businesses will need to move. This includes the residents of Clayton Homes, a housing development built in 1956 that suffered major flooding during Hurricane Harvey and must be demolished. TXDOT recognized early on the importance of reaching out to the impacted residents. And we are committed to working with displaced residents during the relocation process. As Houston continues to grow rapidly, studies show this I-45 project, along with projected increases in the market demand for electric vehicles and mass transit ridership, will help the region better comply with federal air quality standards. Improved mobility will also mean safer and more efficient routes for trucks moving tons of cargo from Houston's massive seaport. Considering the port is one of the nation's largest high-tonnage cargo transportation facilities, it's clear the I-45 project will be a key factor in Houston's future as a leader in job creation, economic development, and global trade and commerce. The North Houston Highway Improvement Project is designed to improve safety, increase transit options, increase opportunities to walk or bike to where we want to go, and reduce traffic congestion, address flooding and drainage issues along the corridor, enhance the beauty of our region along the way. TXDOT developed this project using the valuable ideas and suggestions from the community, local businesses, and other stakeholders. As the project progresses, we will continue to keep the public informed as we move forward with the design and construction phase of this important project. TXDOT is connecting you with Texas.
All right, thank you. That was a great idea, Raquel. And for those that are still here, we thank you again, and thank TXDOT for all the work and for a great program. And with that, we're going to wrap up today, and we wish everybody safe and healthy rest of the week and weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Eliza. Quincy. Raquel, take care.
Later, Darren.
Thanks, Andrea.